We have a 2008 Audi A4 2.0 liter turbo, and we're gonna show you how to replace the camshaft follower. The camshaft follower is located right under the fuel pump. This is a high pressure fuel pump over here. When we have the engine cover removed, you're gonna have to disconnect all the electrical connectors from the pump. There's two of them. This one is a fuel pressure regulator and the fuel pressure sensor. This is a low pressure fuel sensor. They do have a problem with those. Just in case you need to know where it is, this is the low pressure fuel pressure sensor. Next thing you do, you're gonna need to take this plastic hose off from the intake manifold to the PCV valve. See, it's got clips on the side of it. You're gonna have to press on the sides of the clips and work the hose off the manifold. And you're gonna have to do the same thing on the other side on the PCV valve. Be careful, don't break that hose. Just be nice and easy. Press on the sides of it, you'll hear it clip, and work it off the pipe. Next thing you do, you're gonna need to take this pressure fitting off. This is a fuel pressure test port, 13mm wrench. Loosen the fitting. There's gonna be some pressure in there, so take it off carefully. Let the pressure out. Don't lose the fitting. It's very hard to find it if you drop it. Take the fitting off, set it aside. Then you're gonna need to take the fuel lines off. They're under the pump, and one of them is a 17mm right there. This is a pressure line. There will be a lot of pressure in this line, so be careful. Let all the pressure out. When the car is running, it's about 1500 psi in there. So right now it's gonna be probably good 700-800 psi. So loosen the nut a little bit, let the pressure out. This hose next to it, this is a supply line. The hose, they started putting the hoses in from like end of 2007. Earlier models had a bungee fitting in there with a triple square fitting on it. I believe it's M12, M10 triple square. So if you have a hose, you like it, it's easy to change the cam follower with the hose. You don't have to take the hose off. If you have a bungee fitting in there, you're gonna have to take it off. I use a long extension, about a foot long, and insert it from over here, from the bottom under the intake manifold, and unbolt the bungee fitting. Be careful as well, don't lose that fitting. There is an opening right under the fuel pump, opening into a bell housing of the transmission. If you drop it in there, it's gonna be a very big problem for you to take it out. So here you go. Grab a 17mm wrench. Break the nut loose. Do a couple of turns to let the pressure out. Well, our car was sitting for a while, so there was not that much of pressure in there. If you just shut the car off, there's going to be a lot of pressure, so let the pressure out first, then take the nut off. Then we got a long T30 Torx. We got 3 bolts in the fuel pump. This one number 1, number 2, and the other one is right over there under that pressure test port. So these 3 bolts are holding the fuel pump in place. Don't take these bolts off. They have a you're gonna need a security bit to take them off, but don't take them off. Those bolts are to take the pump apart. So leave those alone. Should take the bolts out, because you might drop them and lose them, then it's gonna be a little bitch to find them. And then work the pump out. As if you have a, well, we have a flexible hose in the other line, the pump is not gonna get taken out completely. Just work it so you could take the flour out. Our pump rod is fine. I believe the cam flour is going to be okay too. Yep. The cam flour is a bit worn. Looks like it was about to break. You could see the outline of the cracks. So we're changing it right on time. And here you go. This is our old cam flour. See, it's a little beat up, but it's still in one piece, which is a good thing. Get cam flour out and it looks like this. That means this piece from the center of the cam flour could be still riding around with the timing chain. This over here is a timing chain cover. There is drain ports in that compartment. The drain ports are about the size of that piece that usually falls out of the cam flour, and there is a very big chance that this piece is still in there. So if you took your cam flour out and it's missing a center piece, you have to take this cover off, take the vacuum pump off, and take the cover off and make sure that piece is not in there, because sometimes you could get stuck under the timing chain and then you have a big problem. We actually seen motors getting ripped apart, like pieces of the head getting ripped off because of that little piece of metal. So if your cam flour is broken, take the timing chain cover off and make sure it's not in there. The best to do is also take the valve cover off and make sure it's still not in the head. I mean, if the piece drops to the oil pan, it's okay, you could leave it in there. It's not gonna get past the screens of the oil pump. But if your cam flour is broken, take the timing chain cover off and make sure it's not in there. Alright, here we go. We got our new cam flour. There are a couple of aftermarket companies that make them. I wouldn't suggest using anything other than OEM, because the aftermarket companies might be using different materials. There is a very big problem with the materials in this thing. That's why they fail. The Audi had several revisions done to the cam flours since they started making them. So use original only and the latest one. Don't buy them on sale because they might be expired. See, there's an expiration date on the actual part. Do not use expired cam flours, because if they expired, they pretty much made of different material which will fail. So get a newest one from a dealership. You shouldn't be trying to save money on this part over here. Just go and get it. It's about $60 in the dealership, not that big of a deal. Get it from a dealer. Okay, so we got a new cam flour. Just put it on your finger, slide it in there, nice and easy. If it's getting stuck, take it out and try it again. It goes in very tight. Like, it should go in easy, but once you get it aligned with the hole properly, then work your pump back into the spot. Be careful, don't damage the pump shaft. There's an O-ring. Be very careful when you put in the pump back in. You gotta shake it like that so you don't damage the O-ring. Then there's gonna be some spring pressure pushing the pump back. Keep it pressed, and put one of the bolts in so you don't damage the O-ring when you're gonna tighten the bolts. Do not let the pump go and then tighten the bolts. Make sure the pump is in all the way and the O-ring is sitting nice and tight inside the pump opening. Put the bolts in, start threading them in by hand, then tighten it. Don't go too crazy on tightening the bolts. You don't need a lot of torque. Make sure it's tight, and that's it. Alright, next thing you do, you gotta align that fuel line with the port and wind the nut up. Wind it up as far as you can do it with your hands. Just kinda tighten the space to tighten it up. You're gonna have to play around with the wrench. Probably going 1/8 of a turn at a time when it's gonna get tight. And put the fuel pressure test port back in. Tighten it up. Connect all the sensors. Tuck the wires back in where they were. Then put the pipe in. The pipe goes in only one way, shaped exactly to the hoses. Make sure it clicks in, and you're all set. Start the car up, make sure nothing's leaking, and you're done.